All right, folks, we are recording. It's 6:43 a.m. Thursday, February 13th, 2020. Prices of BTC currently at 10,120s, okay? What we've seen essentially overnight, folks, is a typical pattern where we've seen this over and over again. Price typically does this, big consolidation and destroys both sides over the span of, almost 2 days or so, right? Because over here, all it's really doing is chopping up and down like this and up and down. And then it just goes up. People think that this is gonna go up, break up, torches all the shorts up here, catches the FOMO longs, and then boom, dumps, okay? And so this dumping right here clearly just takes out all the people who are long right here in this area, and price just keeps accelerating and dumping, right? So this acceleration is actually caused by the fact that people had stops residing all the way up here, and as did we, right? Except our stop was just around this area right there, okay? Or actually, I think it was actually right there, okay? But either way, right, if you look here, our entry was right around 9,800s. We took 3/4 off the table around 10,340, 10,350 right here. And, you guys know in the Advantage group that all the proof is right there, right? We take profit. I tell you guys exactly when I'm taking profit. Let's see here, okay? So I cut, some at 10,320, cut some at 10,000, where was it? Up here. Around 10,330, 10,340. So on average, I think our majority of position was cut right around that 10,340 marker. And then I left my stop around 10,250, which got broken through overnight. And now it looks like, we're pulling back, okay? Now, this is where we need to, again, keep our analysis in perspective, okay? Now, while everyone is calling for the top and they're calling for 10,000 or 9,000 or whatever, right? Let's start looking at what we have at play. Okay, so number one, we have the weekly open right there. Okay, 10,170 is where the weekly open right around Sunday. Okay, number two, we had the previous base right here, right there, of the previous resistance right around this area right here. I think it's more visible. Let's see here. Let me pull up this chart. I think it's more visible there. Okay, so if you look at that, this was that previous resistance, right, around $10,200 that pushed up, or rather pushed down price, and then we blasted right through it, right? And so it makes sense that we're coming back to that same area again to retest that area of support, and we might be moving up and out from that, okay? But the only way to tell that if this is going to be resistance turned into support right here is we need to see some good volume coming into this area, okay? And for now, it doesn't really look like that, okay? And this makes sense because what we'll probably be doing is we'll probably chop around here maybe for another half a day or so, get people to kind of, long or short on both sides, and then eventually make our move back up. So if you're looking to long, right, you can obviously long here with the stop just below down here, okay? You can also wait for one of these areas right here, like that X, to be broken to the upside, or that X. What these X's denote is that there were people who were shorting pretty much all the way down, or during this little consolidation period right here and right here. And so once prices start getting past this area, what that really does is it allows people to keep piling onto their shorts, right? And when prices get past this area, we're essentially short squeezing these people, okay? We're destroying their stops, because typically if you're short anywhere in this consolidation right here, or anywhere in this consolidation right here, the X's are where your stops are. And so when price starts moving past the X's like this, okay, you're actually blowing through their stops, meaning the shorts are having to cover their positions, okay? And covering essentially means that they have to close their positions, meaning that they have to open a long on the other side to buy their short. And so that kind of accelerates price even faster, okay? So those are the things that you can wait for. Alternatively, if you really think we're going to go down further, you could short here, place a deep stop up here, and move your stop accordingly as prices move down. Personally, I don't think we're going to go down just yet. I think there's a lot of support in the middle that's kind of, waiting for us. Number one being right here, which is that 10,190 area. And we've kind of seen this over and over again, folks. Everyone's been kind of calling the top on every single run up, and they've been getting torched, right? If you're shorting this market, your gains are very far and few. And to be honest, you're honestly trying to aim to get lucky most of the time, right? Because in this market, unless you're literally up, right? So for example, if we're pulling up the 1 hour time frame, unless you're up and active and you somehow had orders exactly just above this wick right here, and you made sure your stop was just high enough up here to not get wicked out, right? Yes, you might, be getting lucky and holding this down all the way, okay? But for the most part, if you shorted anywhere up here until basically the last few candles right here, you pretty much still got stopped out because you still had this big wick pushing up almost $30, $40 up into the price action and then sloping down, right? So either way, whether you were long or short, I'm pretty sure you got destroyed right here, right? Luckily for us, we were long from down here and we rode this thing all the way up and we happily took profits. And I want to show you guys, even in the alt section, okay, this area right here, for those of you who are not familiar with it, in the advantage side, all right, in the alt section, I don't know why this is not pulling up. Give me 1 second. In the alt section, we had the ship perps trade right here, okay? Our entry, and I'm gonna show you guys this. So if you're not familiar with ship perps, right? We were trading this from somewhere, I think down here or up here. And we rode this thing to our first target right there, our second target right there. Okay, and we closed our position out fully right there. And so that was an average gain of about, let's see, from our entry, I think our entry was somewhere around here, of about 23%, okay? That's a pretty stellar gain, right? And for those of you who are constantly wishing upon the alt season for, the 2x and a 4x or whatever gains that you got in 2017, you need to get your mind off that. Okay, that is the same gambling mentality that will probably lose you all your money going forward. Okay, you need to understand that this is a different market, this is a different year, and we're in a different inning of cryptocurrency. Okay, a majority of these coins are essentially going through their echo bubbles. I gave the example of NEO just yesterday. Okay, NEO right now from its previous all-time high, okay, is down. Right, we can see it right there from its all-time high right there. It's down right now, still 92%, okay? But over the last cycle, from the December bottom, okay, from here, we made it up almost 90%, right? So it's funny that you could be up 90% in less than 2 months, but still be down 92% overall, right? And so what I'm sort of seeing in this market is people are overly exuberant about something that really looks to me like a echo bubble. Okay, these to me are echo bubbles, and this will probably keep doing something like this over and over again until really there's no buyers left and it's just bots and algos just fighting against each other. But this whole idea of people believing that some of these coins will come back to life and they'll go back to their all-time high is almost foolish, because that means you've never studied history or learned from it. And the history says that these bubbles pop the same way and they end the same way. For example, the internet bubble did the same thing. Okay, the internet bubble did the same thing. It went to crazy all-time highs like Neo did, and then collapse almost, 90, 95%. And then it rose back up 100, 200%. People thought that, okay, well, the bubble's coming back alive. Let's just buy back into these companies. They bought the top, and again, it dumped 70, 80%, dragging their money down. So this whole movement that you see often is a echo bubble of the greater fool theory, right? And the greater fool theory is that when you are buying, say, you were able to buy, right here, you're basically selling to someone who has the hopium of buying right here off you, right? Because again, if you're buying down here and you're selling up here, you need a buyer up here, right? So if you're selling up here, you need someone to buy your bags, and they're hoping that they can get a higher price, but they really don't, right? And so this pattern kind of continues, almost infinitely. Obviously it's not infinite, but it happens on a few couple of cycles until people just realize like this whole space is trash, and 99% of coins are trash, right? And I've been saying this since pretty much 2017, 18, that this is going to happen, and it is happening. So I urge you guys to be careful, not to have the hopium of this thing is going to go up forever. By all means, I'm not someone who is going to stop you from trying to make money, but remember that wishing for previous all-time highs or anywhere close to that is kind of foolish, okay? So again, yesterday in our, where was it? In the alt side, I warned people, okay, and I want to show you guys with screenshots. I warned people, all right? You may want to take profit on BCH, okay, right there, right? BCH was about $478 yesterday. I said I'd be taking profit, and for the most part, you should be taking profits on most alts because the exuberance was really high. The euphoria was high. BTC was overstretched, alts were overstretched, and even same thing with ETH, right? Even Ethereum, I said we're hitting the golden pocket right here. This may be a wise time to take profit. This is one thing that I will provide to you in the Cryptosomniac community. There will not be any foolish hopium. I'm going to give you the real, all right? I'm going to be as honest with you as I can and try to save you from making silly mistakes, okay? And as you can see, Ethereum went down almost from its high yesterday. It went down almost 7%. Okay, so if you're long on Ethereum, let's say 10x, you're down 70% on your contract, right? So not really a good bet right there, okay? So we need to wait on alts to calm down. They've been basically in euphoria, parabolic mania phase right here for the last several weeks. I personally think the best asset to be trading right now will probably be BTC, because in my opinion, it has not gone full bull-tard mode like these alts have. I think it's just gearing up in my opinion. It's probably going to do a couple of retests. And then I think it has maybe one more big move, big blow off top move, okay? And I personally don't think the alts will follow it as aggressively. I think the alts will pretty much calm down because the BTC, if we start looking at BTC dominance, okay? I don't know which chart I have of mine. Let me see here. I think it's this chart right here. Bear with me. Let's see here. I think it's this chart. Anyway, I don't know which chart it is. I have a chart with everything mocked up for BTC dominance. But for the most part, I mean, the dominance that I was looking at was something like this. Let me see. I really want to find it because it's a really good chart. Okay, there we go. There's that chart. All right, this is one of my favorite charts that I drew. And I drew this in like early 2019 or something, you know? And so if you look here, right, we were on our way up from, you know, middle of last year, and the dominance was consistently climbing for BTC. And now it's coming down again. But if you look at this area right here, right, this gray box, okay, let me turn off this volume. All right, so if you look at this gray box, and even if we turn on pivots, let's just say, okay, we're hitting a key S2 pivot right now as per the 3-day chart, as well as this gray box, which was previous, okay, support, resistance, resistance, resistance right there, turned into support right there, and now we're coming back to test that as support. So if we're assuming that, okay, well, BTC dominance is now finding support, from here, if the dominance goes back up, what does that mean? Well, that means that the alts are not going to rally, but BTC will, okay? And that's exactly what we want, right? Because for the most part, dominance has been going down over the last couple months, so it's not been climbing as aggressively for Bitcoin, but the alts have been partying and rallying, right? Much more so than Bitcoin. So that means that it may be time for Bitcoin to start partying. And this is why I state that we may be having that blow off top for BTC coming up, okay? Because we are sitting on key support of Bitcoin dominance. And so that blow off top for BTC, if we're looking on, say, the 3-day chart, the R2 is right around $11,300 right there, okay? And the high of that, I could say we could probably get to 11,900, 12,000 maybe, just sort of based on this right here, which is this key high trend line touching this 13.9K lower high. And so if we're going towards that, again, we should go straight up in the next, say, couple days, right around 11,900 or so, okay? That is what I mean by a blow off top, okay? And I still personally believe that it will happen, but first, again, like all technicals, there are certain things, conditions to be met before things like that happen. Number one, we need to obviously get past 10,500. If we don't, say we just start coming down from here and we start breaking down, then obviously we're not gonna get there anytime soon, right? We might pull back around, maybe get a deep retest, and then pull this thing back around. And then that might create a big, big inverse head and shoulders, kind of like this, okay? And I've showed this chart before in my previous video. So this will kind of look like this, and the right shoulder could stretch, who knows, maybe down to like $8,600, $8,700, and then it'll look like that, right? And so that's your big multi-month, inverse head and shoulders pattern. And if that breaks out, that gives us a pretty massive target of, let's see, okay, so the measured move from the bottom of the head to the top of the neckline. From here, let's just say we're breaking out the next couple months, around April or so, right? That gives us a target of about $14,729 or so, okay? Just as a simple measured move of the inverse head and shoulders pattern, okay? But again, none of this has come true. For all I know, we might just, sort of pull back around, retrace a little bit, and then just blast on up, okay? For now, I still don't see any critical structural issues. We'll have to see how this daily closes. Another thing that I wanted to mention on the daily, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but we basically hit the TD sell 9 right here on this daily candle. Okay, so remember, TD sequential is basically about buying and selling exhaustion based on 9s and 13s. So when there's 9 candles in a row to the upside, or 9 to the row on the downside, or even 13 in a row to the downside, like you see right here, you typically find a bottom or a top. So you can see 13 is the bottom right there, 9 is the bottom essentially right there. It's never going to be exact, but it's a good indicator to use to figure out exhaustion on both sides. Okay, so for the most part, what this tells us is the buy side was coming to an exhaustion point right there, almost stretched up to 8 or 9 days on the upside. And so it means that typically after those 9s and 13s, you get a 1 to 4 candle correction. And so we may have, say a couple days of just pulling back around and then pushing back up, okay? Now, one thing that I am seeing, just in case, say, if this area right here does not hold, and again, we have no reason to believe it won't hold because so far it's holding, right? We have not collapsed right through. But just in case that doesn't hold, okay, I would probably say that we're going to go back towards about this area right here, okay, around 98.50, 98.75. Reason being because this was previous resistance, 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 and then we blew through it, and we have not come back to test that support. And if you remember, this was also the key area where that Bitfinex shutdown had happened and price had roared through. So I would figure that those people would want to sort of seek revenge on their positions that got destroyed due to maintenance and press these prices down all the way over here, okay? Just to be able to close out their positions or maybe take profit from up here. The market goes both ways, right? When you punish one side, they're eventually going to punish you on the other side, some way, somehow. And so that's one of my other targets if this does not hold. Now, again, there's no site that I see where it's not holding because, again, for the most part, all we're really doing, right, if we start going into the 15-minute chart, we're just consolidating right here in this previous area that was resistance. This is all this previous consolidation turned into demand now, right? So unless this somehow breaks, I don't see any reason why we should be going down here, which, like I said, is around like $9,900 right there. If we start looking on the daily, this is where things get interesting, right? We have not actually had a daily retest of this area right here. That's around $9,400 to $9,600. And that's a key area for a couple of reasons. Number one, because on this more local movement right here, once we sort of broke on through it, we never came back to retest it as support. So if we came back to retest it as support around 95, 9,600, then I would probably say that opens up more upside for us, at least back to 10,500 or up to 11,000 or so, okay? Number two, okay, look how far back these two lines right here, around $9,600 and 94 stretched back from, all the way from June, okay? You can see right there, that's previous resistance right there, support, 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 resistance, and now resistance right there should be turning into support. So if we turn this whole area right here, which was all previous support right here, right, from this that had turned into resistance and now back into support, I mean, I think that opens up a big upside, in my opinion. It's the same thing that we did in the 2017 market, or I'm sorry, 2019. Got my years wrong, okay? So here we go, right? Let's dial back. In 2018 right here, we had that bear market. We had that bear market bottom right there, right, as you can see. So the bottom, I would say, is probably more so kind of like this, right? If we start getting it out there, okay? That is really the bottom. It's never like an exact area, but this one right here is a bit more of a range of the bottom. And so you could see right here, right, all the way from 2018 February, this was all support, 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 collapse right through, boom, use that right there as resistance, broke through, quick wick down, and then we took off, okay? So if we are now coming to that same sort of structure, right, where that area right there was previous support, resistance, and now we're about to turn it into support, I think that opens up pretty big upside going forward, okay? So the people who may be calling for, 6,000 or 7,000 will probably be a bit more under duress, because if we turn this key area into support, I personally don't see us going down from this anytime soon, I mean, unless we quickly just resume back down from here, that would be the only way. But if we turn this into support and we go back up, I don't see us going back up here just to collapse back further, okay? So this is what I'm saying. The last chance to make your inverse head and shoulders like this is pretty much right here around the 10,500 area, like that. If we start breaking above this area, 10,500, 585 right there, I would be really suspect of the fact that, you know, we would go down anywhere past $9,400, $9,600 over, say, the next, I don't know, 6 months or even a year. I would be really suspect, you know. But we'll see. You know, like I said, if previous markets are any indication. Oh, and by the way, right, here's another interesting thing. Okay, so remember that red block that I just drew? Okay, so let me draw that again, right? So that came from this area right there, right? So this was all 2018 bear market, right? We had that bottom, 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 multiple bottoms, sliced right through. This was, you know, sort of a deviation of that range, broke above it, retested it as support, and then took off to about $14,000. Guess what? From 14,000, we came back to that same area, right? So we did not break this key SR level, okay? So that means that if we're turning this area into a similar SR level, what would we be doing? We'd probably go up high as 12,000, 13,000, come back around, drop all the way to about 9.5 or so, make people feel like, okay, well, we have to go down further, but we won't, right? Because we'll create this kind of base in 2020 like we did in 2018 and 2019, okay? Does that make sense so far? I know this analysis is pretty long, but figured you guys would like it. Okay, adding to your blow off top, there's a CME gap around 11,700 to 800. Yeah, so yes, there is a CME gap around 11,700 or so. I think it's, let me see over here. It's right there, I think, right there. You guys can see it, right? Right there, that little gap right there, okay? So yeah, I mean, we could get all the way up there. Again, I don't believe gaps are valid so many months down the road. I think, you know, typically gaps are only valid for maybe like 2 or 3 months in advance, or I'm sorry, going forward, because it doesn't make any sense to have gaps that far out. Like, these positions are already closed. Well, I mean, what's the point of covering the gap, right? Anyway, okay, so let me ask or answer a couple other questions that I have. I'll take a look at total and total 2 charts. Okay, sure. Let's take a look at that, right? Total 2, okay. So we have total 2 as well, right there. This was kind of interesting. I guess I had drawn this wave count of the crypto market cap. And remember, by the way, I drew this somewhere in the middle of April or so last year. I remember this because I put up all these charts. And the reason I'm drawing this wave count, this corrective wave count, is because honestly, it makes pretty good sense to me. Okay, so if we're in the 5th wave down, and remember, like I said, most cryptos are echo bubbles, right? So we're now finishing off somewhere in the middle of the 5th wave. So we're still in the middle of the 5th wave, even with this kind of turnaround right there. We have not broken above the wave 4 high right there, right? Meaning we have not broken above the $145 billion market cap for the crypto total market cap, excluding BTC. So that means that this whole market cap could still go all the way down here over the next, I don't know, 6 months or a year, because I do believe, in my opinion, this wave count is still valid, okay? For now, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that we could still get up to, you know, this area right here in terms of the total market cap, because look, this is a pretty big SR level, right? Support, whoops, right there. It's support, comes back around here as resistance, and we may be coming back around that same area as resistance again, and we may be selling off, okay? Now, the way to invalidate this count is you start going up above this area. Once you start making it above $145 billion, then we may be in a different count altogether. Then we may make the argument that there's actually more inflows coming into crypto. And though I believe some projects will still get weeded out, that means other projects are actually still getting in more inflows of money, and we may be bursting up further in terms of the crypto market cap. Okay, let me check out total. All right, there. Okay, so here's total as well, including BTC. So we bounced off a key area. Again, same thing, right? SR level, like I showed you in BTC, very similar structure. Previous support right there, the base, turn into resistance right there, right? And then over here, turn into support right there. Right, so again, this is a very strong support area around this $182 billion market cap, okay? And the fact that, you know, we're now rocketing up from it, and we've already taken out the key high right here, around 275 billion right there, right? We're moving up. If we make it past this area right here, I mean, we should be essentially targeting these highs up here in the coming year or so, okay? But again, we still got a ways to go. We'll see how that goes, right? But this is actually looking very good as per just a market cap as a whole, okay? Price is obviously lagging behind, especially BTC price. So we'll see how that goes, all right? Let's see here. Can you check a Fib retrace on that? Sure. So from here to here, we're actually right in that golden pocket. So yeah, I mean, good point, Shane. Hey, if there's any point to reverse now, it'd be here, you know, right around this $300 billion cap that we just hit. But again, this is for the entire crypto market cap. I personally think that when you start finding the nuances between the total market cap and the total 2, which is the one that excludes BTC, you'll find that BTC, in my opinion, still may push up. The alts might pull down, but they won't break above this key high, okay? So that means BTC will be gaining the inflows of money that the alts were recently having. And so price could go up for BTC, but the overall crypto market cap doesn't have to. It could essentially stay stagnant or even pull back a little bit, but the price of BTC could still go up, okay? Because it's, again, at the end of the day, it's just money, you know, moving from one technology to another, right? One crypto to another. We call those rotations, okay? All right, can you please let us know on what time frame, if we close below the last big support, will it be confirmed as a retrace? All right, so here is something that we got to understand about retracements, okay, folks? On a daily, this obviously looks like a bearish engulfing, right? I mean, again, we still have 12 whole hours to go, but this looked like a daily bearish engulfing too. And then we had a big fall-up daily. A bearish engulfing doesn't mean anything unless the follow-up candle starts becoming a bearish candle too, okay? And again, like I've mentioned before, we have a good amount of support in the way, right? We have this whole key support area right here, which was the previous resistance around 10,190, which is now turning into support and demand, all right? So I have no reason to believe that we just have to go down from here. And if we do, right, we have other supports in the middle as well, which is this area right here around $9,600, okay? I'm pretty much closed out of my long, so I'm just waiting, to be honest, to either get confirmation that we've bounced properly from this area, or we're finding decent support right here as per XO or candle spread, or do we have to go down further? I will let you guys know exactly what I see, but for now, I'm not in any position other than my EOS and ZRX trade, right? And again, those trades have been doing very well. If you followed my analysis in the short-term channel, okay? The ZRX trade gave us about an 18%, 29% on EOS. I still have some position, half my position running in both, so we'll see how that goes, okay? But again, for the most part, if you're looking for a confirmation, right? I mean, you could obviously short now, you know, if you think that, okay, well, this is the retrace, you need to short and place your stop above the high of this wick, and you can ride this down all the way to about $9,600. If you think we're gonna go break this key support area that I just showed you right there, this 10,100 support, if you think we're gonna break it, I mean, short, you know, short right there, stop above here, and ride this thing down to about $9,800, $9,600, okay? But if you really want a confirmation, okay, this needs to come down and actually break this area, because breaking this $9,400, $9,600 area will tell us that looks like the trend was pretty much topped right there. This was a deviation. We're coming back under, probably retest this area as resistance, and then we'll probably sell off. And if we sell off, we'll probably go to 8,000 and maybe, or $8,600 or $8,200, all the way down to about $7,900. Okay, but again, none of that has changed. We're still in an uptrend because again, we have this low, higher low, consistent higher lows like that. So I don't know what to tell people when they start trying to short or, you know, time the top, right? I mean, you're pretty much fighting the trend right here. I don't know what to tell you. I'm also not someone who can predict the future and say, well, yes, this is the top, and now we have to go down. You know, like, why? Why is it top? I mean, if it was a top, if I was, you know, sort of a professional or running algos, I would at least press up past this 10,585 area, destroy anyone who was shorting from over here and had their stops up here all the way down and didn't take profit. Because if you didn't take profit, you could at least whip them out, right? And then dump, okay? And then if we see a bearish SFP up here, then we can say, okay, it looks like we may be coming to a top. We may want to consider getting out of our longs and getting into short positions, but none of that has happened. But the thing is also, the implication of going higher than this is that we basically created a higher high on a higher time frame, you know, like a daily or a weekly chart. So that would trigger basically a lot of professionals and algos to go long. So you're basically, again, fighting the trend, okay? I hope that answers your question. All right. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up, I think. Majors like XRP, ETH, and EOS. I mean, like I said, I personally think all the alts are really overextended. XRP, I mean, I don't think not so much. I think XRP looked like it was just kind of getting started over the last several weeks. But yeah, I mean, even over here, right, it had a blow off top. I actually placed this flag here just for the heck of it, because I said that, you know, if we turn around over here, this should really be the key high we should be hitting. That's kind of what we did, okay? But as long as XRP kind of holds above this area, just like BTC, above 298 and 282, it should probably have some more upside. But, you know, it might do something like this over the next couple of days and then push back up, okay? And then ETH, like I said, I told y'all that Ethereum came to a very sort of key pivotal area around the golden pocket right there. Taking profit, it's probably wise. We may even retrace all the way down to about $237 or so. If we use that area of support, then we could press up back towards golden pocket or maybe even higher, okay? Next targets I would probably be looking out for is 288 and 318, all right? EOS, like I said, I took off half my position on EOS, somewhere around 515, 520. Moved up my stop, and I think I actually got stopped out, so I'll have to check that. And my next big target was this 559 area. And so if I get a nice retrace back around, say, I don't know, let's see, if we draw this out, the most confluence is probably around, let's say, this area right there, you know, support right there, resistance. Yeah, I would probably want a retrace back to 470, 480 for EOS, and that could be another potential long for me, okay? Could I check link? Sure, I can check link. Let's see here. So link is, I mean, actually doing pretty well, right? Because it's holding above this key high right there. As long as it holds above this area, I don't see any issues. But if it collapses under, then it's probably going to go down all the way over here. Okay, around 290 to 29 or 290 to 299 or so. Okay, but again, this key area, which was the key high right there, we gotta, you know, for link, it's got to stay above this area. Okay, and then it could probably, you know, push up even higher. Okay. I mean, if you're trying to do just a sort of a fib retrace, you know, the golden pocket for link would probably be around 250 to 262. I kind of doubt it comes all the way down. I mean, if it's coming down, it's not going to be right now. And if it does come down, that means alts and Bitcoin and all the majors, everything is pretty much coming down. Okay. And same thing with BCH. I mean, I told the community yesterday, this would be a good area to take profit. So if you did not take profit up here when prices were at 478 or 479, you know, again, you lost a bit of the move, but even with BCH, you know, as long as it stays above, like say $390 to $400, we should still see back a movement towards this area again, or maybe even higher. Okay. But again, I personally think the alts are pretty much topped. I think what we might do for the alts is go something like this, and then pull back down. Okay. And while the alts kind of do something like this lower high, I think in this lower high, BTC will start taking off. That's, you know, if I were predicting anything, that would be it. Okay. I don't think the alts are going to go much further. If they do, I guess that's going to be a huge alt season, because then that changes the dynamics of majority of alts breaking through key resistance levels. Then they might see, you know, pretty significant movement in prices. Okay, but we'll wait and see. You know, personally, the sentiment, the technicals are already telling me that everything seems a bit overstretched. And, you know, for the most part, you do not want to be in a market that has so much euphoria, so many people just being bullish and aggressively longing. And given the fact that the funding rate has been just excessively positive and high for so long, if we pull up the funding rate right there, funding rate, let's see here, BitMEX funding. Man, every script is locked up. I hate that. Let's see, I'll look up the funding rate and I'll let you guys know in a little bit, okay? But for the most part, I know that for a fact that the funding rate is pretty high in terms of longs, and you know, it's painfully costly to be long and aggressively holding longs, okay? If we're doing a fib retracement, say from this bottom, the local bottom that we just had, to this top, you know, let me turn this off and turn this on, right? I mean, we just hit the 382, and I think we may have hit the 50. Yeah, we hit the 50 as well. You know, I personally think this is typically a good area to get back in, but again, your choice, okay? So like I said, I'll be waiting to see what kind of support the market finds in this area, if it does at all. If it needs to collapse a little bit further, we'll see, right? For the most part, just be patient and you will be rewarded. All right. Again, thank you so much for being part of the Advantage community. I hope you guys enjoy these morning analyses. You know, I personally think they're very helpful, and they give you a good scope of what's happening. And you know, follow up to these videos obviously is what I post in these channels afterwards, right? And so make sure you guys pay attention to the Bitcoin analysis channel, where I provide updates for you guys on the Advantage side, and then obviously the leverage trades that I put out. And then Jordan has his own trades. And then obviously the group chats of discussing Bitcoin and altcoins. And make sure you go watch my video on YouTube. It's called 10 Commandments, How to Trade for a Living. 10 rules that I follow, that I personally think all great traders follow to make a successful living in the markets. I really think they will help you guys sort of stay grounded, keep your emotions in check, build discipline. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. And again, thank you so much for being a great community, folks. Come join Cryptosomniac for those of you who are watching on YouTube, and I'll catch y'all soon. All right, cheers.